that suggestion at one of the Board of Selectmen meetings, and maybe there's a way to kind of bring some people together to apply for the grants and do things to maybe repurpose it for whatever. I know I'm on recreation. People say, okay, you're saying it's recreation. I'm not saying just for that. I just think it's a building that even Silver Petroselli said that if you knocked it down and built a new one at half the size, it would be $6 million. Well, building's twice the size. If you put a couple million into it, I know you could spend $5 if you really wanted to go crazy on it. Who knows? I mean, it could be a valuable resource. I think that if anyone wants to take a ride down to Richfield, take a look at their community center, that they have all sorts of things going on in that community center, whether it be basketball, indoor swimming, there's meeting rooms. You literally come in, you got to check in. There's like hundreds of people in this place all the time. Be an interesting situation. So thank you for the efforts that you're putting in here. Tommy, I can't applaud you enough for what you're doing over there.
Thank you, Bob.
That you're willing to offer some deep. Same with you keeping your nose to it, just being as great cheerleader as you can.
All that you're doing.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Felicia Lober. I live at 35 Wepawag Road. I just wanted to build on what Bob was saying. I think that we shouldn't be short-sighted on what could be done with the building. I really believe that we should continue to have the club, the property. It's a wonderful, wonderful asset for our town. And I think that there are other purposes that could be used for that building that would really enhance our town. And that's basically about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Tommy, before you, if anyone, I have extra copies of, well, it's like the agenda, but also more particularly the information that Tommy's going to go through. If anyone would like a copy of that. Yeah, okay. I don't know how many I have, but yeah. Okay. Mr. Miller.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming out. It's good to see some new faces and some old faces. Welcome. My name is Tommy Miller. I'm the general manager of the country club here. We're going to start with a recap of our 2015 results. We exceeded our total budgeted revenue by $102,000. We exceeded our golf revenue by $50,000. We grew our total revenue by $136,000 over prior year. We grew our rounds by over 4,000 rounds. And we actually gave a check back to the town for $50,200 this year. So it's a nice... And
that's just so that people understand the structure of the contract between the town and Billy Casper Golf is such that the town pays a fixed amount to Billy Casper Golf every year. And then to the extent that the golf revenues exceed $825,000.
Correct.
The revenues are shared 50, and so that's the $50,000 check that was delivered back to the town.
Correct. On top of the check for $50,000, our club generated over $150,000 for charities in 2015. We hosted the Amity High School golf team, which we valued at around $11,000, which we do that at no charge. We donate a scholarship to an Amity High School student for further education. We gave away $26,000 in complimentary rounds for charity for local groups in the area on a variety of stuff. We paid $7,000 in property tax. Residents used the facility almost 3,000 times last year, roughly, and it accounted for roughly 11% of our rounds. 800 total residents used the club last year. So that was in a recap of what we've done last year. We would say that from a club standpoint, it was another very successful year. We are excited about the direction of the club because we've been able to stabilize the golf operation and then grow it. So from our standpoint, we have a very solid membership base. We have right now about 260 golfing members. We currently host about 55 golf outings a year, and then we also are available for daily play. So the nice thing about having those three buckets is if we get bad weather or we, any other issues, we are insulated a little bit from losing that revenue. So the nice thing is by developing all three of those buckets, we give ourselves an opportunity to not only grow the business, but to insulate ourselves in the event of something happening. 2016 projections. We were.
I'm sorry, Tommy. Let me just interrupt. I have gone through a lot of this before with Tommy, so he had answered questions that I have. But Dolph, did you have any questions about 2015?
The only encouraging thing was that when we last met, which for me was like October, we had about 35,000 coming to us and 35,000 going to Casper.
That's right.
So was it good weather or what
Somebody told me that you're better off to
low ball?
under promise and over deliver. So we stuck with that theory.
Okay.
We did have some better than expected weather in December, so that did help kind of pile on. But we're always a little bit conservative with that projection usually. So when I give you something, unless something catastrophic happens, that's a pretty good indication of where we're going to be, if not better. So,
But the 50,200 is real.
Yeah, I think it was the exact number was 50,171.
Okay.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Good.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
2016.
Yeah, 16's off to a nice start. Obviously, we had a great weekend. 55 and 60 degree weather in Connecticut in February is gonna help out your top line revenue. So we made about $4,000 in January. We're probably gonna pick up another $6,000 in February. Where that's significant is we don't budget revenue in those months, so the town can look at it as we made $5,000 because the sun was shining. That's a pretty nice feature in the wintertime. So off to a healthy start. As far as the outing portion goes so far, we booked roughly $200,000 in outing revenue so far. To put that in perspective, we booked $234,000 in all of 2015. If I had to look into my crystal ball, we were probably going to end up somewhere in the 260 to 280 range this year for outing revenue. So you're going to see between $35,000 and $50,000 in growth on that outing revenue line.
And book, Tommy, means a contract.
Yeah. That means we have a guarantee and a deposit from our client that says our event's going to guarantee you a minimum of 100 players or whatever that number is, and we're going to spend X dollars at your facility, and we have a signed contract for those events. So membership, we have a 193,000 booked. Last year we had 263,000. We think we're going to probably come in maybe between 260 and 270 this year. As sad as this is to say, we had a couple members pass away, so we'll lose a couple good people that we're going to miss, and we should be able to pick up about 5 to 10% in that category. So that'll be pretty close to flat, maybe up a percentage or two. We just recently completed a bunker renovation. I know we had talked about how important that was to get done, and if you were at some of the golf commission meetings, June, July, August, we understood that there was a need to get sand in the bunkers. We spent roughly $10,000 to add additional sand to the bunkers that needed it, and then even some of the ones that didn't, we wanted to fill those in. But the renovation has been completed. We had some pretty good weather in November and December to allow us to finish that project up. We had some tree work done around the property to enhance the airflow and also the morning sunlight that the plant could receive.
Well, and some safety issues.
And some safety issues. That's exactly right. The scope of that work is probably $10,000 to $15,000. And then the new golf carts are here. So just some things that we've done that we think are going to enhance the overall experience at Woodbridge. So it's going to be a better quality turf, a better bunker to play out of, and a new golf car. So all of those things combined, we think there's an opportunity for us to increase our rate slightly, so we can have a higher, what we call APR, average per round. The nice thing is we're able to increase that average per round by even just $2. That's roughly $60,000, which half of that's going back to the town. So that's roughly a $30,000 gain by making those changes. So, any questions on the 2016 projections?
Well, you mentioned that we had 4,000 like of extra money, not extra money, but profit money in January, 6,000 in February. Now, last year we got started so late because of all the rainy weather and stuff. When did you actually start last year?
Last year,
9th, right?
April 6th, I believe, was the first day we got open.
So we had very little income coming in for the first 3 or 4 months.
Correct. So if you looked at our January, February, and March P&L, the top lines were blank. There was no revenue taken in, and even the we'll say the quarter of the month that we missed in April. April typically, if we can get up and running, is a pretty good month for us.
Yeah.
We consider that an in-season month. So the nice thing is that little $10,000 buffer insulates us. So if we have a wet March or a wet April or wherever it may be, it gives us a little bit of a buffer there to, in case we have some weather issues. But the nice thing is, all things being equal, if we can get off to even a reasonable start, which we have been able to the last 2 years, we could really see some top line growth here to start the year.
Well, what happens also with in the business or locally with the competitors is that, if everybody starts the year behind the plan or late behind plan, things like that, they get more aggressive with pricing coming out of the gate, and so it's hard for us to get to do anything with our price. On the other hand, if we have or continue to have,
right,
I guess, with the start that we have, we can be a little bit more aggressive with the pricing and,
right,
hopefully, get that better APR, etc.
With a small sense of humor for my panel that's not here tonight, have we done anything on the road to Hall 1?
We did. We've made that area is a little bit of a tricky area. So we've patchworked a part of that area to make sure that it's a little more, so it's a little safer.
Okay.
In an ideal situation, we'd have a paver come in and they'd redo that whole thing. But for the time being, we were able to put some filler stone in there just to make it a little more. Make it a little smoother ride.
So we won't lose one of our panel members on a ride to hole number 1?
I think they'll survive.
Okay.
Well, we also have excess material from doing some of the other cart paths that, again, time permitting, that sort of thing could be used on this site.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the strategy until we can really get down there and renovate it. But from a safety standpoint, it's still compliant. We're still in good shape.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any question?
Is it possible to ask a question?
Please, yes.
Yeah.
My name is Joyce Simpson. I live at 5 Oak Hill Lane. I would like to ask you the role that food and drinks plays in the overall planning that you have. Is that a part of your outings?
So, yes.
And I'll finish my thought. Do you currently have sufficient kitchen facilities? Could you make more money if you had a better kitchen facility or a dining situation there?
It's a very good question, Joyce. I will give you kind of a twofold answer. We think from a Billy Casper golf standpoint that the opportunity to make money on the food side is there, given it's the right situation or the right circumstance. So we understand that there's a return on investment in whatever you do. So if we were to say, okay, we take over the kitchen, but we had to put X dollars into it, and that return on the investment we would see in 2 years or 5 years, there would be a little bit of play there. We obviously think that an enhanced food and beverage operation would drive revenue, or could potentially drive more revenue. With that being said, we'd really have to get into what it would look like to get that operation up and running, and what kind of that long-term strategy would be in order for it to make it worth our while. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so, and I understand exactly what you're saying. What have you been doing so far, maybe in the last 2 years? Do people just go home after they play golf, or do they stick around and eat?
So we've modified the program a little bit. I will be honest with you. It's not an ideal situation, but we do have a vendor that we use in the pool area, and they use what we call a grab and go program. So it's like hamburgers, hot dogs, grilled chicken sandwich, chips. Probably not full service dining, but an opportunity for you to get something as you're either in round or post round. We've got seating in our men's and ladies locker room for 8 to 12 roughly in each, and then we have an outdoor patio underneath the pavilion at the pool that seats maybe 20 or so, and then we have a pavilion that seats about 160 that we will use that for catering events, golf outings, all those things.
And you have been using it.
And we have been, yes, and it's actually been, the pavilion's actually been really good for us. It's the nice thing is, the majority of our events are in what I'll call in season. That May through October. So the weather's nice, and the pool's right there, and then the green's right there. So it actually creates a pretty nice atmosphere.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Joyce.
Thank you.
So Tom, just in relation to that, the limited food service opportunity or vendor that's there, has that prevented you from booking an event to this point?
We don't think so.
And then I guess the other part is, when the summer comes, they have a fuller menu because they're operating from the pool with the wraps and everything else.
That's exactly right.
I mean, in fairness, there are, let's call it, style of events that we can't participate in.
Right.
And I mean, like sometimes you'll have an outing, and what they want to do after the outing, and you see this a lot in charities, they want to bring everybody in the room, talk about what they've done for the year, raise some money, things like that, and generally, that's more like a sit-down environment as opposed to, using the tent. So, I mean, we can't, well, we don't see those people.
Correct. And Deke's exactly right there. We can't quantify what we would actually gain from that. Kind of our motto is we're going to do the best we have with what we have to work with, and so far it's been pretty successful. Would we like to eventually get to that point? Sure. That'd be fantastic.
You were, I guess it was before your.
Oh, and no complaining here. Just so we're clear, there's no complaining.
A hot dog cart out there,
Yeah, and Robert's done a nice job for us. He really specializes in that. Just when somebody comes on the golf course and they can grab a hamburger or a hot dog, and it's nice for our golfers because the majority of our players, that's exactly what they're looking for. They're not going to sit down and have filet mignon at the turn. They're going to have a hamburger and a hot dog.
Okay.
Okay.
We were going
It's supposed to be 6 or 6:30, wasn't it? Or is it?
No, sorry, Sandy, it was 6.
Oh, Richie told me 6:30. No wonder he's not here.
That would do
He said
it.
he's coming, though.
Good, okay. Well, we'll have to backtrack a
I
little bit
apologize.
perhaps. That's okay.
Fine. We do a quick economy update.
I don't know, you were gonna, but what sort of, Sandy, what sort of materials do you
He's
have?
got some stuff
You
right
you
there.
brought some,
I
you
printed
brought the
out
stuff that I
everything you
emailed?
said.
Okay, and I got a
Okay,
couple
good.
copies
So you're
right there
good.
for you,
Okay.
Sandy, if you'd like.
I just didn't know if you needed anything, yeah. All right, so Tommy, you're gonna do an agronomic.
Yeah, just a
update.
quick agronomic update. So, hole number 1, we actually cover with a tarp this time of year. That green has typically been a problem green. It's been much better the last 2 years, but we are always a little careful with it. So if you went out and played 1 and 18 are on temporaries with 1 being covered. Everything is pretty winterized. The warmer weather creates a little bit of an issue this time of year because your plant has been cold, and then that top layer right now is a little soft from the warmer weather and then the rain and the snow. So ideally, we either go right into spring and we're ready to go, or we thaw or we freeze and then have a nice slow thaw out. So that's ideal. But as far as the winterization of the golf course, we're in good shape there. You'll see, the leaf and snow removal around the facility. I had to put leaf removal on there this time because typically we do snow removal this time of the year, but we've been with the good weather, we've been making sure the greens and the surrounds, the areas that surround the green tees and fairways have been maintained. Irrigation, no real issues to speak of. And then just a couple projects that we were able to get done this year, with the bunkers and a little bit of cart path work and that kind of stuff. So we think from an agronomy standpoint, Dennis has done a really nice job, and we're looking forward to having a really good 16. So
I've spoken to some people who are members of the club, and they say you're doing a fantastic job.
thank you.
The only thing they objected to both the new golf carts are gas instead of electric,
Well,
and it smells.
Yeah,
to explain the
so
economics
there's
on that.
a little bit of a backstory that goes with that, Sandy. And one of the things that's nice when it was a private club and we weren't playing as many rounds, you had that opportunity to go with an electric car. But based on kind of the terrain at Woodbridge, obviously we have a few more hills, but the number of players that are going through our facility now, whenever we were a smaller club doing 22,000 rounds, running those cars, once a day is not a big deal. Whenever now that car's running twice a day, we're at 32,000 rounds. You can see the amount of traction and wear and tear that's on the vehicle. The gas carts are a little more durable and hold up a little more, especially in your years 3 and 4, whenever your batteries become an issue.
I'm glad I'll explain it to them, because I've seen them, and they love the course. They're crazy about it.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
But again, it's a good long-term economic decision.
Oh, yeah.
Or the gas rather than the electric, yeah.
Well, the other thing, a question for you was at the meeting of all the commissions and everything, they brought up the fact that we're gonna need $1 million for the golf course before in the next several years, and I was flabbergasted. I think Rich was flabbergasted.
Well, I mean, on a golf course, the only thing really you could spend a lot of money for, unless you wanted to change like the design of the golf course or whatever, is the irrigation system. And I have used this analogy before that it's like an old car at a point in time. You just get tired of the putting money into it, and also not being able to use it, which obviously when you're talking about growing grass, that's a little sensitive. But last year we paid spent $2,218 for irrigation system repairs, and that's why in the context of when we did the course improvement plan, it isn't even in the 6-year window for that, because again, it doesn't look like it's.
Is the estimate for that $1 million or?
That's
probably
for a new system.
To put it in perspective, I think they
yeah.
redid it at Oak Lane maybe 7-8 years ago. I think the total scope of the work was like $900,000. But back to Deke's point, I don't think that if you want to give us $1 million, I'll take a $900,000 raise and we can divvy up the other $100,000 and we'll have a real nice party for everybody. But no, I really don't believe that $1 million would be necessary for the club to survive in the next few years. I think that number is probably a little high.
I just was bringing that up because Richard was right behind me. And
That was presented.
Yeah, they said someone said that it's going to be you have to dump $1 million into the.
Well, no, I believe that it was Billy Casper Golf who was cited as mentioning that, and I wasn't part of that conversation, so I can't really.
So what I think that was is if we had to redo the entire irrigation system, that's what a new irrigation system would go for. But like Deke said,
Could
But you don't have to buy it.
Can you do it in piecemeal parts?
that's probably not the best use of your resources.
Okay.
But it doesn't. It's the car analogy is the best way to put it. Just because your car has a lot of miles on it doesn't mean that it's going to break down on you. If you take care of it, you do your oil changes, and you make sure that you get your flushes, it's going to last longer. And so eventually it'll get to a point where we have to replace it. But if I could look into my crystal ball and give it to you, I would. But I would say that right now I think we're in pretty good shape.
I just want to know where the $1 million came.
Yeah, and that's probably the going rate on a new irrigation system.
Now, last year, we spent 2,200 something?
$2,218.
Long difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, in 2012, which is the first year that Billy Casper Golf was managing the facility, we spent more, but part of the reason that we spent more is because sections of the system had been abandoned by MDM Golf. And so water wasn't being delivered to greens. It wasn't being delivered to, tees. And obviously, we wanted to, get that system going again. And so during that year, and I don't remember the number, but, we had to spend more. Yeah.
Well, if Tommy said that 4 or 5 years ago it was $900,000 for Oak Lane, inflation's been hitting us, and so it's easy to understand why somebody threw that out. Not that we're going to need it tomorrow.
Right. That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I think we really kind of got to the end of the agenda, but obviously, Sandy, Richard, you came in a little bit late, so I don't know if, you had any questions about the information that was provided to you by email.
Because I don't think we have a quorum here, do we?
Well, we're not taking action on anything other than the minutes.
Okay.
And we actually, I believe we can approve the minutes at 4, but if you want to defer them, I mean, that it doesn't bother me a bit either. Yeah.
I think to be on the safe side, we might just push it over. And
That's fine.
Next
That's
meeting.
fine.
I take it that the Board of Selectmen really didn't make any decisions related to whether the clubhouse was under our domain. I think you sent them a letter.
I haven't heard anything about that.
We didn't hear anything on that. That was
Correct.
totally.
Yeah.
I did talk a little bit to Ellen about your comments that you had made. The ones that you had sent to the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
And she didn't feel, and she could speak for herself, but she didn't feel that what you had put in there was realistic. When I say realistic, your basic scenario was that we wouldn't have to pay anything to Casper at some time. And somewhere along the line, the administration doesn't feel like that's not gonna happen. I don't know. I know you had some scenarios.
Well,
how that was
I think I explained the numbers. The numbers, let's say, were sort of simple. I mean, last year, Billy Casper Golf, after receiving and paying the town, or the money from the town, made $108,000. If you take out the town money, they lost $35,000. We're now in a position where there's only 1 year left on the equipment loan. So if you back that out, they would have made like $83,000. Now, looking at 2017, I think there's a lot of good things happening on the revenue side.
But I don't think Casper's in the same ballpark with you. That's what I'm saying.
Rich, I don't think we sat down and had that conversation yet.
Right.
First of all, I never said that Billy Casper Golf would operate the golf course for no cost or no cost to the town. I said that I thought that in 2017 that we might be in a position to find an operator to do that, and I believe that totally.
Because I read your thinking, and a lot of you had the pool, what they're going to do on the pool, which has really nothing to do with Casper. That's the recreation department that runs the runs the pool on the thing. But one of the things that I think we ought to be really looking at, and I think that's was I know you didn't make the meeting that they had, is really the different options that they're putting out to they actually put it out to all the commissions, and I'm sure they're gonna put it out to the town of what they'd like to do with the property. So I think that may be part of our responsibility is to take a look at some of these options and what we feel is in the best interest of our commission, of what option we'd like them to at least look at.
What's the best interest of our commission regarding?
I can't hear you.
Regarding the town's interest also. I mean, it's our interest in the club. I just want to take this minute. The letter that you wrote, I thought was fantastic. The one that appeared in the news. I thought it was right on. And the golf course, to me, is an asset to the town that eventually will be I think somewhat of a moneymaker, but not a gigantic moneymaker for the town. And I also think it will help the value of the homeowners, of the homes in town. And I think if we took the expense that we're putting out now, divided it by the households that are in the town, you're gonna find out it's not very much. I haven't done it because I don't know how many households.
That's a good option.
Yeah, and part of that analysis, I think, Sandy, is you need to, everyone would have a different view as to whether or not the original cost, or the debt service associated with the original cost, needs to be part of that number, or whether it's purely attributable to a decision to preserve open space. And then in that category, I believe it, constitutes a different decision.
Right, but to me, the golf course is open space. The golf course, it's open space.
Yeah.
Now, I remember as a kid, sledding down the hills out there, and now I'm gonna ask you this question. If we had snow, can the golf course be used as a sledding area, a designated sledding area in one area?
Oh, it is.
Isn't it? Yeah,
It is still,
Well,
yeah.
If we see it, we try to curtail it. And the reason from an insurance standpoint, if we know they're out there and somebody could get hurt, we would caution against that. Just because, based on the location, to get vehicles in and out, whenever you play golf, we have like a liability waiver that you sign when you come to play at the facility. It's a little difficult for us to grab that when they're going down the hill at like 40 miles an hour. So, but we typically don't use it for.
Well, I think you can post. Sweat at your own risk. But what I'm trying to get at is that if they use it for golf in the summer, and I saw they had the one of the tennis things is now a beach volleyball. Yeah. And in the winter, you had sledding or whatever. You got a year-round facility.
We would offer. We could, if there was something people were interested in, we could make that happen. Though, yeah. I think that's.
But I'm just saying that then we have a year-round.
Well, let's put it this way: as long as you got the insurance on it, you could probably set up a cross-country,
even cross-country skiing.
That's good exercise for people to go.
Right.
But I think the recreation department would probably have to get involved in that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think you make a good point. Don't forget, you're looking at the year. This time, I think you probably got people in December, right? Did you have people playing golf?
We had a very nice December. We actually had 92 on Saturday and then 123 on Sunday this week.
So you got January, February, March, April. So you got 3 months that it isn't used. It's just sitting there, really.
Well, they're doing maintenance on it.
Yeah, it really is weather dependent. You look at, we made $4,000 in January, make about $6,000 in February, and if weather's good, we can make $40,000 in March. Last year we didn't make a nickel. So, it really is weather dependent. But you're right, there's an opportunity there. So in some years it's busy, in some years maybe not so much.
But it doesn't sound like you would have a problem with people sledding.
No, as long as we, as
Well,
long as we can
Yeah,
regulate it and we can.
First of all, it's the town's.
Excuse me, I can't.
Oh, first of all, it's the town's property. I honestly don't think Billy Casper Golf would have any liability for sledding activity.
That's
I'm
right.
not talking about liability, I'm more interested in the greens and different things which they're interested in. We don't want anybody
Oh,
going over
Yeah,
there.
that's what, that was my
Yeah.
concern, can they,
Yeah.
if you designated an area, hey guys, you can sled in this area,
Yeah.
and you can cross-country ski around the perimeter.
Yeah.
I can't, see, that's agreeable. Then you have a facility that is being used basically year-round.
Yeah.
That's where I'm looking at it. The thing that really upsets me is just letting the clubhouse deteriorate. I can't see why we can't put a tarp to prevent the leakage. Maybe the volunteer fire department can go up there with the ladders and spread the tarp.
Well, I believe that the town is investigating repairs.
Oh,
Now, I don't know, I'm gonna say investigating in the context of, I guess, somebody going up there and saying $25,000 or, whatever. Now, that's not, obviously, that's not a commitment to spend,
right.
but it's at least a commitment to investigate. Yeah.
Because to me, it's a shame just to let it go down the chute.
Doesn't get better.
I know.
And Sandy, we agree with you on that. Deke and I had this conversation today, but if you've been in that building, there's parts of that building that are as nice as any private club you're going to find. As far as the bathrooms and the locker rooms, I mean, there's usable space in there, so we
Right.
understand where you're coming from that
Yeah.
perspective.
Okay.
Just one quick question, on the lockers, how many of the golf people that play use the lockers? Do you have any idea
I
of
think
that?
last year we wrote a check back for $3,200 in locker fees from just the golf side. So
And how many?
I think it's $75 a locker. So
And there's also pool.
Pool.
Pool lockers that are included in that number,
Trackers,
correct.
Yeah.
But I mean-
And that money is the town's money, and that's
Yeah,
what he
that's
means
Yeah,
by
but how
wrote the
about,
check
how
back,
about like,
Yeah.
do any of them take showers after they play golf, or they just?
they may bring
They
their
do?
own towel, stuff like that. I know we had a towel service at the pool, so if they needed to use that, I think they may have used that in the past. But yeah, it's hard for me to quantify the. I would say you probably about 75 members who use the locker room fairly regularly.
So basically, what I'm trying to get at is, the building does add a little bit to the golf.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we would agree with that.
I mean, there's some questions, well, we don't really need the golf, your position doesn't need a building. You could put your own
We'd prefer
trailer or
it,
something.
but we
But
understand.
it does add to the golf, that's what I'm
We like to
trying
think
to
so a
get
little
to,
bit.
that there is a tie-in with our golf course, having that building there with lockers and showers.
The card room. I mean, there's some value to it. We
Yeah.
agree
Wouldn't you have to agree that the lower level works for you?
very well. Works
The
very well
lower
for
level.
us.
Yeah, it's
that's
more than needed, or more lockers, more,
It
the
gives
whole
it more of
thing,
a
but-
club feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When I
yeah,
go to a
sure.
municipal golf course and I drop my bag on the rack and I walk in the pro shop and I walk out the door, that experience has a very municipal feel to it. Where I think that when you come to Woodbridge, you have your locker room with your supplies and your locker's got your name on it, and then you've got a place where you can shower and you can sit down with your buddies and play cards, and you can have a drink. Then that's a little more of a place that guys have a tendency and girls have a tendency to congregate and actually stick around for a little bit longer. So we think that there's some value in that.
The pool, which is the rec department, I think the combination of the pool and the golf, and there's a snack bar. Am I right? Snack bar there?
Tennis stuff,
What?
and tennis stuff.
Right. I mean, the food, some of the golfers must eat, don't they?
Yeah.
We were talking about that
Yep.
before.
Yeah.
Talk on that earlier.
And Tommy's actually gonna be working with us this year on the marketing, basically taking the lead with us, because Anthony Taddy, who's the pool director, when everything got renegotiated, he picked up a whole bunch of hats, and his marketing was basically, does a great job, but was to email to the existing members and put sandwich signs out. And so this year, we're going to follow Tommy's lead, provide whatever support we can to try to capture more members, because you're right, Cindy, the synergy of all the amenities operating, the boats basically float higher, okay? And that, just like when the question was asked before, what about upstairs? Yeah, that operated, that would even be better, but, you know, there isn't a lack of food service there, but it's, you know.
Well, that's what I'm trying to drive at, that the synergy is good. The pool, I don't know, have you been out to Cheshire?
Yes.
Did you
They
see?
used to have a bubble over it.
Yeah, now, you see what they did? It is magnificent. It is fantastic. My grandchildren swim. And, you know, here, we have the Beecher Road pool, which is, and the swim team, I understand, goes to Orange. I mean, let's keep it as an open pool for now, but the possibility of covering it, I think, does exist.
One of the suggestions, and I'm gonna have to leave it
No,
there, because
go
I have
ahead.
a 7 o'clock rec meeting I've gotta go to, but one of the, you know.
Cover the
there-
pool by the time you get back.
Yeah, so there have been some unusual ideas thrown out about the pool that, and we've heard residents say over the last few years, because the town owns it, it should be more affordable and that type of thing. Well, there was an idea thrown out last week, which was unbelievably affordable, although the problem, I mean, we're gonna talk about it at our meeting, but the difficulty with that idea is it would hurt the golf operation, because we take all the parking now, because, you know, and there's some other issues. Yeah, it'd be great for 1 year, because we probably put the Woodbridge Club out of business, and then we can charge whatever we want. But that's not such a good way to do things.
Yeah, right, no, you're right.
Either. So we're gonna tonight talk about suggestions as a commission as to a more competitive pool rate, and bring that back, and hopefully that'll help, you know, make it, you know, better for the residents, but at the same time not create a situation for it, because there's only 230 parking spaces there, and as I spoke to Tommy the other day, on a busy weekend day in the summer, 200 of those parking spaces are gone, because when the golf course is full, that's 144 spaces and that are taken, and unfortunately, we like to believe golfers would carpool. That's generally not the way they arrive at the golf course. So with employees in the pool, that's 200 spaces, that only leaves 30. That doesn't leave many spaces for the people that show up to
Right, yeah.
use
No,
the
you're
pool.
right.
So we've got to be careful, because, you know, as we move forward with that, it's got to make sense for the overall situation. Plus, the other issue around that that we have to deal with is, right now, the current numbers, and obviously the membership isn't as high as it should be,
Right.
if that quadrupled or whatever it is, or you have 200 people at the pool versus having what you have there now, you've got to maintain a ratio of lifeguards to people in the pool. So that could balloon our budget up to a significant number. Plus, those new people come in who are not your regulars, the lifeguards have to be even more sensitive, because they don't know who these swimmers are. So then it becomes a safety issue. So they got to really monitor what's going on, you know, much more closely. And that way, so there's a lot of elements here that we got to.
I know you gotta go. One quick question. Are we giving swim lessons at the pool this summer?
We did last year. We
Yeah.
could, well, depending on what the rate structure is, what our staff is going to look like from a management standpoint, that, you know, could be a challenge for us. So,
Bob, I know you got to go real quick. What is that lifeguard to patron ratio? Do we know what that is?
Anthony Caddy's was going to verify, but I believe it's 1:25.
Okay, thank you.
That being a state regulation, you mean, or something
Yeah,
like that?
when we came out of the meeting last week, he said
Okay.
he believed it was 1:25.
The tennis courts over there. I mean, I've talked to some of the people that are at the, it appears like they're not being used.
Right, so the intention, for the last 3 years, we've had an issue with the tennis courts. The year we weren't operating, they closed prematurely or something happened. We lost 23 members to the Woodbridge Club because we didn't have tennis that following year. The last 2 years, the tennis courts were not ready. by the opening, they weren't ready at the open house. We also count on support from, we ask, some of the work that need, like removing the leaves and things of that needs to happen in order for the courts open. So 2 years ago, there was no money in the budget for doing the tennis courts over. So Recreation approved spending $5,000 to redo 4 of the courts. And through that, by using Recreation money, those courts, actually, somebody who was a resident went to the club, got a pass from Jim Franco and went over to the club. They could use the court because we use town money. It's not necessarily totally a private tennis court at that point. We also, so we did that. This year, we know those courts have to, now fortunately, the leaves got removed this year. We moved the leaves, the town removed the leaves in the fall like everyone does at home. And so fortunately, hopefully those courts will be ready before we have our first open house, because people come to the open house and they see, those courts aren't ready, I'm not signing up. So we're hopeful, and we already know, Tommy's already passed to us, that Hamden Hall would like to use the courts before the pool season starts, which is terrific. That just, to us, that would just be free money, and also would show activity on the courts and some activity. So
Yeah, but do you have any record
I'm
of
gonna be late for my
how many
Go ahead.
people
I'm
sign
gonna
up?
be late for my other meeting.
We're asking for you to.
I know, I gotta go to my rec meeting.
Okay, but I mean, do you have a record of how many people use that course? Do they have to sign up for the courses, or they just go play?
For what?
The
They
tennis
sign up.
courts that are
They
over
sign
at
up.
Right now, it's pretty much, if you're a pool member, you can go down and use it. But what we're hoping to do this year is to have a tennis pro there that would be, basically, he would charge a fee and we get a percentage back. So the town would have a liability of paying the person to have somebody over there. So I could run a murder for everyone.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks a lot, good luck at your meeting tonight.
So Rich, to get back to your comment about property options, I guess, first of all, obviously, there's only 4 of us here. And I think in fairness, it should be something that the entire, or should be noticed to the entire commission and scheduled, so that everyone would have the opportunity to talk about it. The only thing really that, I would add to that is that, one of the options, theoretical or otherwise, is to continue the property in its present use. And so, I would have to say that if we're going to look at options, I would like to add that option, and we can have a discussion about, those 4 or what number of options.
Well, I think there are only 2.
Well, I don't remember
I think there are only
5.
But I agree with
Yeah,
you. I
yeah.
agree with you 100%.
5, 6,
The other thing I think we should do as a board is, or you as chairman, send a letter to the Board of Selectmen asking us to have a special meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the Country Club of Woodbridge.
Board of Selectmen and Country Club of Woodbridge Commission,
Yes.
you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, to discuss,
To discuss what we've been basically discussing here.
okay,
I got the feeling that they're more interested in putting houses up than keeping it as open space. That was my gut feeling. I don't know how anybody else felt about it.
well, again, all of that is subject to a vote, and what was the number, Tommy?
It's roughly 800
800
residents.
residents that use the facility right
Well,
now?
I know,
I'm-
anything would be.
I'll make a guess as to how they vote. And last time there were, I think, 500 residents in favor of the toll proposal to not, which would not have affected, or very, in a minor sense, would have affected the golf course. Yeah.
Yeah, I think campaign should have been a little different. That's-
Well, yeah. So-
Personally, I hate to see the golf course go or be broken up. And that's my opinion, because as I said before, I think it's an asset to, I think that whole property is an asset to the town.
I agree.
Thank you.
That's my feeling.
Yeah. So,
Can we
Rich,
put
would
this
that
on
be-
our agenda for next month?
Yeah, yeah.
If you could do that,
Yeah.
and we have,
And you accept my revision to add an option of keeping the property in its existing use?
Why not?
Why not? Sure.
Well, I mean, you know, I mean,
Well, let's say, I look at the golf course as a recreation center, okay? And that's really what I'm looking to do. In other words, you have the golf course, I'd like to, you know, I've been in favor of the building, not tearing the building down,
yeah.
updating the building,
Yeah.
bringing the recreation department over to the building, bringing the senior centers over to the building. This, in fact, opens up the other building for the police department. They don't have to, fire department doesn't have to build another building. So I mean, and you have all your recreation. You got swimming pool there, you got your tennis courts, and you got your golf there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the other part, you can have some of the recreations equipment there, and move some of the people from the senior center over to the
And it can still be used as a meeting place after golf. You got the club with the bars. I don't know what you call that, the club room. I mean, there's a lot of areas there that can be used.
Well, and having a fitness center would enhance the experience of the existing member
Yeah.
golfers.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. I agree.
And swimmers, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the
but,
package
yeah.
now becomes more enticing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
You know, and frankly, I mean, getting, I don't know, you know, some number of golfers to spend, I don't know, an extra $100, $200, whatever, to have access to the fitness room would probably be nothing.
The golfers that I spoke with, I don't want to mention names,
No,
you
you're
know,
okay.
they spoke highly of you.
They're fibbing.
To them, another $100 is not going to break or make a difference. You know,
Yeah, we're
they'd
pretty
be probably
fortunate.
happy to do it and say, you know, we got a place we can lounge around
Yeah.
and sit for a little bit. So,
Well, I think Deke's idea of putting the extra choice down is a good one, because if nothing else, it might give us another reason to meet with the Board of Selectmen.
exactly.
So, you have no negatives? We're good.
Okay.
We can't vote on it, but yeah, we can.
Well, we make a recommendation,
I
I guess,
just
or
make a
something, or,
recommendation.
yeah,
That's it.
Okay,
I got one thing with Tom.
yeah.
Tom, can we do something next year to, I don't know, I think you did one thing, have another opening day there, maybe early on?
Sure. We actually do. We have something come up. It's March 19th. We are going to do a Shamrock Fest. And what this is this is a reason for you to dust your clubs off, come out and have a beer and enjoy some sunshine and just kind of start the season. And then we're going to do some open houses, but we're going to kind of couple that with some of the pool stuff, or at least that's the option, or one of the options. And we think that the reason that's nice is it gives those people who are just getting started for the year the opportunity to come out and visit the facility. We can kind of get them started for the year, but it gets Woodbridge on their mind, gets the club on their mind, and it's a good opportunity to get that money up front for the year. The longer you wait, the more opportunity that money or that member has a tendency to go away. And the reason for that is, okay, well, you know, if May is rainy, or you know, kids have soccer or whatever it may be, that prolongs it. The longer I get into the season, the less likely I am to kind of cut that check. So we'll make sure that we've got a nice open house here and you know, right around in April, then that kickoff event.
Yeah,
Are you pushing a family type open house or just?
You know, we actually have a catering thing that we're going to do. We're going to have the event catered, and it'll be an option for kind of our current members to come in and renew. So it's like a renewal party and also a new member orientation for some of our newer guests. It gives them an opportunity to meet some of the new members, but also we can hand them their locker and then, you know, go through all the perks of membership and acclimate them to some of the nuances around the club. But it's usually a nice experience, you know, and everybody likes a free sandwich, you know, whether it's, you know, something small, but it's a nice personal touch, and, you know, for us, it's nothing, but it's, you know, we're getting that kind of that lump sum check all at once, so it works out really well for us.
And can you sort of organize it with rec, so? they-
Yeah, and Bob touched on it a little bit, but we're gonna be pretty active in that marketing campaign, for them throughout the year, so.
Yeah, their open house, just as an aside, works best when the pool's open, in the sense
Yeah.
of, you can visualize, everything better,
When the
but,
sun is
Yes.
shining and.
well, yeah.
But I think it's key that we encourage more Woodbridge residents to use the course. I know that your numbers, you use the zip code to kind of calculate how many people around the area. But I think that we should encourage more people that pay the taxes on the town to use the property more than they do
No, that's good.
today.
And Rich, how would you propose we do that?
Well, I think your open houses are the way to,
Okay,
that's one way that you can do
Okay.
it. Because I think most of I know you do a lot of advertising, Tom. I've seen on the internet and different things. And I think that brings people, maybe not from Woodbridge, but from other towns to come and play at your course. But what I like to see is more people in the town of Woodbridge using the course. Because
Okay.
they're the people that are paying for the course.
Yeah, well, you're talking like that, I don't know how to do it, but I was just thinking as you were talking, Woodbridge resident, your first time play, if you take that, you get one free play after your first round.
so we have something, it's similar to that. What it is we have a program with a company called Welcome Wagon, and what this is
Yeah.
you're a new Woodbridge resident. We send you like a little complimentary gift bag, or part of the package that goes with your complimentary gift bag, and we put in there you can play for a cart fee as a Woodbridge resident. It's like a one-time play, but that's an opportunity for somebody who's new to kind of capture that business. As far as how we target our existing Woodbridge members, they are targeted via email based on their zip code. So we will send out very detailed, specific plans, and obviously they get a card. They get their 20% off. So what we can do is we can maybe put together a campaign that targets those zip codes, and then just make them aware of their 20% card.
Yeah, right.
Something that we could do early in the year, and then couple that with an open house and see if that drives some resident play.
How about advertising? Making money on advertisements. What I'm saying is, maybe you can have your carts. I don't know. I'm looking for you to make money.
Yeah, no.
Make money. We make money.
We've seen this.
Maybe
we've
a
seen
car
guys-
dealer advertises on a cart. You know what I'm saying?
So
Local.
we've explored this at a couple different clubs, not necessarily at Woodbridge. We've sold space on the scorecard where you can put your club's information on the scorecard. We've done we had GPS at one of my clubs, and you could put the local business. It's a little more difficult to generate that type of hard advertising. A lot of people are going more to digital as opposed to traditional print. So it's a model that we are looking at fairly regularly. If we do see an opportunity there, though, we're more than happy to take advantage of it.
You ever go into the diners around town here?
I've been to Katz's a few times.
Well, not no, not Katz's. Country Diner up there, Valley Diner on Derby. They have the menus there. There's a company that sells those. They do all the legwork and everything, and they give you the what do you call it, the mat, whatever it is, placemat.
Placements with all
Placemats.
the,
Okay, you may want to contact them, because I imagine this would be a new thing for them. They'll give you probably end up giving you the scorecards, but as long as they can put sell advertising on it.
We've done that in the past. The total revenue on that's about $3,000. For typically what we would do in a situation like that, we would try to target as much as we could on our digital platforms, whether that's social media, whether that's email, whether that's website, we see that the return on investment is much higher on our digital platforms as opposed to our traditional print platforms. With that being said, you're right though. There is still a demand for it in some markets, but we'll weigh those options. And I actually have a call next week with our marketing team, and we'll put together our marketing playbook for the year, and that's something we'll bring up.
Because that, to me, you got that scorecard, in the cart, and you're staring at it all the time. I think people would certainly, certain people would go for it. I can think of a couple businesses that would like to go for it.
I got another question. How far are you from a PGA big tournament? Is that in the horizon for you?
Which level PGA tournament would you be referring to? Like a PGA Tour event?
Yeah.
Um,
Are you? I take it. That's really one of the goals.
To put
down
that
the
in
line?
perspective,
Oh, no, never.
Too small?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You lose a ton of money on something like that.
Excuse me?
You would lose a ton of money on something
You
like
lose
that.
a ton of money?
Yeah.
You don't make money on them?
No.
You missed the tournament, it was last week.
Yeah.
we could do something within the section, and we've done that. We hosted the Assistance Championship 2 years ago for the Connecticut section, which is a pretty nice event. But that's a local event, based on the state of Connecticut or the Connecticut section, and something like that would still only bring in maybe a couple $1,000.
The logistics of bringing customers to the location would be incredibly difficult. I mean, what many courses do is like this has happened most recently in Augusta, where they have the Masters. The golf course down there has basically bought, like 8 square miles of contiguous property to facilitate parking and, things like that. And here, in this location, I don't know how you would ever satisfy that need. Yeah.
And I think the golf course from a length standpoint would have to be extended. You'd have to do some tee work for it to play to a certain required distance. And based on when the golf course was founded, those distances probably wouldn't meet the criteria based on today's standard to host a tour event. But that doesn't take anything away from the golf course. The golf course is still a very good golf course.
Good for its customer base.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
What kind of rating would you put in our course compared to, let's say, the courses in Connecticut? Where are we?
We're solid.
I'm sure they have some kind of rating.
Yeah, we're solid. I would say we're a solid B plus,
Okay.
somewhere in there, based on, I would say, public golf courses for daily fee. On the value side, I think we're pretty good, but I think it's a good B plus golf course.
But what did you figure when you took it over? What do you figure the rating was at that type of time? I know you made a
We think it was probably.
D.
I think at one point it was probably close to like an A minus before, back when it was private, and I'd say maybe a C whenever we inherited it. I think we're probably at that B level right now.
Okay.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Dee, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say. Private, or many of the private golf courses, they have bigger budgets. One of them locally has 3 times the staff working on the golf course, as we do at Woodbridge. If you have more staff, you pay more attention to it. Obviously it also translates into, what sort of, what equipment you have, and,
Spray
just a whole
programs,
bunch of chemicals, fertilizers, just a whole bunch of things. And, it's, for the amount of dollars that they spend to to maintain the golf course. I'm incredibly impressed with the quality of the golf course. Yeah,
We heard that from a lot of people.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Thank you. But thank Dennis. I mean, he does a great job, so we're
Yeah.
very fortunate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's gonna be it, yeah, yeah.
Does Billy Casper ever do anything with miniature golf courses?
We have not dabbled in the miniature golf courses yet, but we do have a facility at Lyman Orchard. It's called the Apple 9, and it's a 9-hole property. So it's not quite, obviously from a size standpoint, an 18-hole golf course, but it has 9 holes, and the holes are significantly shorter or smaller than the standard 18-hole golf course, which we find is great for maybe beginner players or players who are new to the game. Or maybe the skill level just isn't there, and it's an opportunity for us to get or capture a client who we may not necessarily have.
Or families with children?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I was just thinking in terms of revenue, because there really isn't one right around here. There's one, I think, in Bethany, and the closest one that I used to play at was in Oxford.
Okay.
I know. So it's just, it's a thought that I've had. But I don't know where it could be developed on the property.
Near the pool, there's a beautiful field down
Yeah. Yep. Right over where the range is at. That's exactly right.
there, lower than the pool.
No, it's a great thought. Thank you.
Do you have rolling beverage service?
We do.
You do?
We
I
do.
haven't played there yet. So.
We do. We typically during our busier days we provide beverage cart Thursday through Sunday in season, and then all tournament days as well.
And you sell alcoholic beverages on it?
We do.
Anybody else have any questions? I will make a motion to adjourn.
I don't think we need a
Second.
motion, we never went into session.
I'm sorry?
I don't think we need a motion. We never
Oh, you're
went-
so technical.
But if we do,
Well,
I'll
yeah,
second
if we, thank you, thank you. All
I just don't want to
approved,
get in trouble.
Yeah, well, you know,
I always thought we were in trouble.
yeah. Thank you all.
Good to see everybody. I missed you guys.